Hi everybody, welcome to Line of the Week number 144, Motif Development Using Melodic Rhythms. This week I practiced improvising over a tune by taking a rhythm, adding notes to it, and then developing it. As always, I like to point out that this video series is not about memorizing lines. Rather, it's about understanding concepts and applying them on your own instrument in your own way to your own music. The lines I write are meant to be examples. You can take the melodic rhythm I'll show you in a minute and try it yourself. Before I get to the line of the week, and so we're all on the same page, here are the chords to the progression. The chords are A flat major 7 to E major 7 to G flat 7 to A flat major 7 to D flat major 7 to C minor 7 to B flat minor 7 to E flat 7 to A flat major 7. Here are the chord scales I use. I use the notes from the chord scales for two things. First, as a source of notes for improvising, and also to determine appropriate tensions for comping. The chord scales I'm using today are E flat pentatonic to B major to D flat melodic minor to E flat pentatonic to A flat major to E flat pentatonic to A flat major to E melodic minor to E flat pentatonic. Here's some melodic rhythm I'm using this week. I take the motifs and the melodic rhythms from Jerry Bergonzi's book, Volume 4, Melodic Rhythms Used with Permission. Here's the line of the week with Guitar Pro backing I use to make sure I'm getting the notes and the rhythm accurate. Generally speaking, the tools I use to develop motifs include the following. It's good to list them here so that we can talk about them in order to share the concepts. Number one, I start with a melodic rhythm and put notes to it, and I call that the original motif. And then other tools are variation, extension, fragmentation, rhythmic displacement, augmentation, diminution. For an in-depth explanation of all these concepts and a lot more, you can check out Hal Crook's book, How to Improvise. This week's line is a simple example using the idea of augmentation. Augmentation is a form of motif development where the note values of the motif are increased. So let's look specifically at the line of the week. In measure 1, you've got the original motif, meaning the melodic rhythm using notes from the chord scale. In measure 2, you have variation of the original motif. In this case, same rhythm, different notes. In measure 3, you've got another variation of the original motif. Again, same rhythm, different notes to fit the harmony. In measure 4, you've got a half-note extension of the motif variation found in measure 3. In measures 5 to 6, here the time values of the first three notes of the original motif are increased. They go from 2 eighth notes and a quarter note to 2 half notes and a dotted half note. So in measures 5 to 6, I took a fragment of the original motif and I augmented it as a form of motif development. In measure 7, I go back to a straightforward variation of the original motif. Again, same rhythm as the original motif, different notes to fit the harmony. Measure 8, another variation. Measure 9, a half-note extension of the variation found in measure 8. Also, note the points of resolution of tension by half step. At the point of chord change, it's important to resolve non-harmonic tones, meaning avoid notes or disagreeable tones, by half step to an agreeable note. You can resolve tension either directly, meaning immediately, or indirectly within a beat and a half. In other words, at the point of chord change, you only leap from a note if it's agreeable or harmonic to both the chord of the moment and the next chord. Otherwise, you need to resolve the note, preferably by half step. In this line of the week, we resolve tension at the point of chord change in 4 places, circled in red. At the end of measure 1, going into measure 2, note F under A flat major 7 resolves by half step to note G flat or F sharp under the E major 7 chord. At the end of measure 2, going into measure 3, note B under E major 7 resolves by half step to note C under G flat 7. At the end of measure 5, going into measure 6, note A flat under the D flat major 7 chord resolves by half step to note G under the C minor 7 chord. And then finally at the end of measure 8, going into measure 9, note G flat under the E flat 7 chord resolves by half step to note F under the A flat major 7 chord. So that's all for this week. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week.